Hello everyone, welcome back to Marriage is Not the End. Today's story might hit close to home for anyone who has spent a relationship constantly compromising, constantly backing down, and losing a little more of themselves each time. This is a story about a wedding, but more accurately, about the weddings that never happened. The female lead is named Olivia. She had been with her boyfriend, Brian, for 6 years. 6 years is long enough for two people to move from passionate love to comfortable routine, and long enough for someone to see the truth about many things. But seeing the truth and acting on it are two very different things, often separated by a long road. The story begins the day before the wedding. That day, Olivia and Brian were at a bridal shop picking out outfits. Olivia stepped out of the fitting room wearing the wedding dress she had carefully chosen. Standing in front of the mirror, she wanted to see Brian's reaction. But his reflection wasn't in the mirror. Brian was taking off his suit jacket in a hurry. He yanked off his tie and tossed it onto the couch. "Chloe had an accident," he said, not even looking up at her. "Vanessa can't handle it alone. I have to get to the hospital. We'll have to cancel the wedding tomorrow." Olivia stood in front of the mirror. The long train of her dress spread across the floor, layers of white tulle piled softly around her feet. She didn't say a word. In the past, she would have stopped him. She would have asked him, between me and Vanessa and her daughter, who matters more to you? She would have cried, argued, and laid out every grievance from the past 6 years, one by one, right in front of him. But now she simply watched his back as he walked away. This was the 99th time. The 99th time the wedding had been cancelled because of Vanessa and Chloe. Half an hour later, Olivia saw Vanessa's latest post on social media. "You're the only person I can rely on in this world." The post included a live photo. Brian had his arm around Vanessa, with Chloe standing between them, calling them mom and dad. All three of them were smiling brightly, looking exactly like a happy little family. Olivia stared at the photo for a long time before putting her phone away. Her parents were sitting nearby. Watching her expression carefully, her mother asked gently, "Olivia, is tomorrow's wedding cancelled again? The invitations have already been sent out." Olivia shook her head. Her voice was unusually calm. "The wedding will go on as planned. The only difference is that the groom won't be him." Her mother paused for a moment, then pulled out a backup invitation from her purse. Her father's eyes fell on the space where the groom's name was written. It wasn't Brian's name, it was someone else they both knew well. The two of them visibly relaxed. Her mother said, "If you're marrying him, we won't worry." Her father added, "I told you long ago Brian wasn't worth it. Looks like you finally figured it out." Olivia didn't respond. She was only thinking, if someone refuses to turn back until they hit the wall, after crashing into it 99 times, it's about time to turn around. After the dress was finalized, Brian called her. His tone sounded relaxed, as if nothing had happened before. "I remember you've always wanted to try that viral restaurant. I even found someone reselling reservations and booked us a lunch slot." Olivia had planned to refuse. But after 6 years together, the relationship deserved at least a dignified ending. So she went. At the restaurant entrance, Brian reached out to take her bag. His other hand moved out of habit, trying to wrap around her waist. Olivia sidestepped him and walked straight inside. His hand froze midair. He frowned, irritation creeping into his voice. "Olivia, stop throwing a tantrum. Chloe suddenly got sick. Vanessa only had me to turn to. You know that. Before her husband died, I promised I'd take care of her and Chloe." Olivia didn't reply. She sat down and opened the menu. Brian sat beside her and tugged impatiently at his tie. A man has to keep his word. You wouldn't want a man who breaks his promises, right? Olivia took out her phone and scanned the QR code to order. Brian waited for a moment. When she still said nothing, he sighed. "All right, don't be mad anymore. Next time the wedding definitely won't be cancelled. I told you I'd give you the perfect wedding, and I won't go back on that." Olivia still said nothing. She was just thinking that his promises only applied to Vanessa and Chloe. She was always the one expected to give in. Just then, a waitress walked over. "Excuse me, miss. Your table has already ordered a 4-person set meal. If you add more dishes, it might be too much. Would you like me to cancel anything?" Before Olivia could answer, a familiar female voice came from behind them. The line for the restroom was so long. Olivia must have been waiting a while, right? Vanessa walked over holding Chloe's hand. She sat down on Brian's other side, while Chloe squeezed into the seat between Olivia and Brian. Olivia froze. Brian opened his mouth as if to explain, but Vanessa spoke first. "It's all Brian's fault. I casually mentioned wanting to try this restaurant, and he remembered it. He even paid triple the price to buy a resold reservation. Olivia, you don't have to cancel the dishes you ordered, eat whatever you like. Watching Vanessa's subtle display of ownership, Olivia suddenly felt like laughing. In the past, she had believed Brian simply didn't understand Vanessa's intentions or her manipulative tactics. Now she realized the truth. He had always enjoyed the feeling of two women competing for him. She turned to the waitress. Cancel it. But before the words had fully left her mouth, Chloe suddenly screamed. Ah, my arm hurts. Daddy, Aunt Olivia pinched my arm and made it swell. The little girl held up her arm. There really was a red mark on it. She cried as if in unbearable pain. Vanessa's eyes immediately turned red. She looked at Brian with a mixture of grievance and helplessness. Brian, if you're unhappy with us, take it out on me. Why bully a child? She's innocent. She took Chloe's hand as if preparing to leave. Thank you for taking care of us all these years. From now on, we shouldn't see each other anymore. She dares to abuse a child right in front of you. I don't even want to imagine what would happen later. Chloe clutched Brian's shirt, refusing to let go. I don't want to leave Daddy. I want Mom and Dad to stay together forever. Aunt Olivia is a bad person. She wants to steal my daddy. The commotion quickly drew the attention of other diners. Several live streaming influencers rushed over with their phones raised, cameras pointed directly at Olivia's face. Guys, you won't believe it, our restaurant review just turned into a scene where a mistress is provoking the wife. Screenshot her face so she can't steal your husband's. Poor kid. The mistress dares to abuse a child right in front of the parents. Imagine what she'd do as a stepmother. Even the waitress who had been friendly moments ago changed her expression. Miss, please leave. Our restaurant does not welcome homewreckers. The situation spiraled out of control. Olivia looked toward Brian, silently begging him to explain. But Brian only shot her a cold glance. Olivia, Chloe is just a child. How could you do something like that? Brian, I didn't pinch her. Olivia pointed at the security camera above them. If you don't believe me, we can check the footage right now. Before she finished speaking, Chloe suddenly collapsed to the floor. Chloe. Vanessa screamed. Brian, take her to the hospital. Brian scooped Chloe up and rushed toward the door. As he reached the glass entrance, he paused and looked back at Olivia. She was surrounded by influencers and self-proclaimed defenders of justice, with insults raining down on her from every direction. For a moment, Olivia thought he had grown a conscience. But Brian only said, Olivia, I never thought you could be this vicious. Come find me after you realize your mistake. Then he turned and walked away without another glance. In the end, it was a customer who couldn't stand watching anymore who called the police, allowing Olivia to get out of there. When she walked out of the restaurant, sticky soup dripped from her hair. Her white dress was stained with food, giving off an unpleasant smell. No driver was willing to pick her up, so she had to walk home. When she pushed open the front door, Brian was sitting on the couch in the living room smoking. When he saw her appearance, a flash of disgust crossed his eyes. He tried to hide it, but Olivia noticed. You're back? Olivia looked at him calmly. Brian, let's end things here. Brian paused while stubbing out his cigarette, then walked toward her. Because of what happened at lunch? He stared at her face, took a deep drag from his cigarette, and slowly blew out a cloud of smoke. Olivia, I thought you'd understand the situation back then. If I had defended you in the restaurant, the ones who would have been hurt would have been Vanessa and Chloe. And besides, you were the one who hurt Chloe first. What happened to you was your own fault. He continued, Chloe has already forgiven you. Vanessa also said she won't hold it against you. Let's just leave it at that. He raised his hand as if to pat her head, but when his fingers touched the stains in her hair, he quickly pulled them back. Go clean yourself up first. Brian, Olivia said, looking at his back. Tomorrow is my wedding. He froze mid-step and turned around sharply, irritation all over his face. You know Chloe needs someone watching her for a whole week every time she has an episode. How am I supposed to have time to marry you tomorrow? Olivia, can you be a little more reasonable? I'm informing you, she said calmly. I'm not asking. His face darkened. Can you stop being ridiculous? I said I'm not free tomorrow. If you want to hold a wedding with no groom, go ahead. The ones who'll be embarrassed are you and your parents. Olivia clenched her fists and met his gaze. My wedding doesn't need you. Brian suddenly laughed. Olivia, besides me, who else would marry you? At that moment, a loud crash came from the children's room. Olivia's heart skipped a beat. She hurried over and pushed the door open. Stuffed animals were scattered all over the floor. The little clothes her mother had sewn by hand were cut into scraps. On the child's bed her father had built sat Chloe. A shattered jar lay on the floor. Gray powder was spilled everywhere at Vanessa's feet. Vanessa blinked with tear-filled eyes, looking completely innocent. I accidentally knocked the jar over. Brian rushed over, pushing Olivia aside at the doorway. He grabbed Vanessa's hands anxiously. Vanessa, are you hurt? Vanessa's eyes slid past Brian toward Olivia, and she gave her a subtle, provocative smile. Olivia knew she had done it on purpose. But she still couldn't stop herself. She rushed forward and slapped Vanessa across the face. Vanessa covered her cheek, her voice trembling with grievance. I'm sorry. I just saw dust on the jar and wanted to wipe it clean. I didn't mean to drop it. I really didn't. Brian grabbed Olivia's arm and forced her to lower her head. Olivia, you've gone too far. Apologize. Brian, that was our child. 2 years earlier, Olivia and Brian had once had a baby. The child didn't survive, and the jar Vanessa had shattered was the urn containing that child's ashes. Chloe caught Vanessa's signal and suddenly ran out of the room screaming, covering her ears. Vanessa hurried after her. Brian's face turned dark with anger. Look what you've done. How can a dead person be more important than the living? Was it really necessary to hit her? Olivia stared at him in disbelief. Brian, you know what that room means to me. That was your child. How can you, Olivia, he snapped, cutting her off. If you hadn't bullied Chloe at lunch, would I have had to bring her home just to calm her down? Everything I did was to help you make up for your mistake. Vanessa's crying could be heard from outside. Brian panicked. He shoved Olivia's arm away and rushed out. Caught off guard, Olivia fell to the floor. Her forehead slammed against the hardwood, and darkness flooded her vision. In that darkness, she remembered the torrential rain from 2 years ago. That day, Vanessa had called Brian away with a single phone call, leaving Olivia, 5 months pregnant, standing alone on the roadside in the pouring rain. A drunk driver crashed into her. That night, Brian knelt beside her hospital bed, slapping his own face and begging for forgiveness. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I never thought something like this would happen. I just didn't want to betray the promise I made to her husband. Olivia, I'm sorry to you and the baby. After we get married, we'll have another child. She'll come back to us. That time, Olivia had forgiven him. But now he was saying their child mattered less than Vanessa and Chloe. Olivia. Brian's face suddenly loomed in front of her. Before she could tell whether it was a hallucination or reality, Chloe leaned over and said, See? I told you Aunt Olivia was just pretending to faint. Brian immediately pulled Chloe behind him, as if afraid Olivia might attack her again. Olivia struggled to sit up. Before she could speak, Vanessa hurried forward and knelt down. Breaking the urn was my fault. If you want to hit someone or yell, take it out on me. Chloe is innocent. She's just a child. Please don't hurt her. Brian yanked Vanessa to her feet, his face livid. Olivia, don't push it too far. First you hit someone, now you're making people kneel? What exactly do you want? You're the one who's wrong, apologize. I was wrong. A faint, bitter smile curved on Olivia's lips. She had been blind in judgment, blind in heart. She had chosen the wrong man and made her parents worry for years. I'm sorry. She was tired. Too tired to keep fighting. Brian was clearly stunned. In all their past arguments, Olivia had never bowed her head. Her sudden apology made him uneasy, and his tone softened slightly. I'm not really blaming you. Just, don't be so impulsive next time. A flicker of resentment flashed through Vanessa's eyes. She tugged gently on Brian's sleeve, her voice soft and aggrieved. Brian, if this children's room is actually where the ashes are kept, then Chloe and I shouldn't stay here anymore. I'm afraid Chloe will have nightmares if she sleeps here. We should go home. I'm just worried Chloe might suddenly have another episode. I'll go back with you. Brian said it without hesitation. When he met Olivia's gaze, he looked a little guilty. Chloe's episodes can be serious. Vanessa can't handle it alone. I'll stay with them during the day and come back at night. Olivia nodded indifferently and turned toward the bedroom. Behind her, the door closed. The three of them left together. Looking at the house filled with wedding decorations, Olivia felt nothing but irony. After taking a hot shower, she sent a message to a real estate agent, sell the house. The house had been bought by her parents for her and Brian. Since she had decided to leave, she didn't need it anymore. Then she started packing. That evening, Brian texted her. Chloe had another episode. I won't come back tonight. You don't need to leave the light on. Get some rest. Love you. Right after that, Vanessa posted on social media again. My daughter said she wanted to see fireworks, so he drove us 300 kilometers just to make it happen. The photo showed Chloe sitting on Brian's shoulders watching fireworks in the distance. Olivia liked the post. Then she picked up her suitcase and left the house. That night, the video of Olivia being called a mistress at the viral restaurant trended online. Relatives and friends who recognized her quickly stepped forward to explain the truth. Public opinion soon flipped. The flood of insults shifted toward Vanessa and Chloe. Brian called her, anger evident in his voice. "Olivia, you're really two-faced. You apologized to us during the day, and at night you encouraged your relatives and friends to smear Vanessa and Chloe online. If anything happens to them because of this, I will never forgive you." Before Olivia could explain, he hung up. 5 minutes later, Brian started a live stream to clarify the situation. "Hello everyone. I'm the person involved in today's trending topic. Vanessa is my wife, and Chloe is my daughter. Please don't hurt them. Olivia and I are just friends. I don't know why she hired people to spread rumors about our relationship online." After the live stream ended, Brian sent her a text. "I promised her husband I would take care of them. This was the only way to make the internet leave them alone. Don't look at the comments online lately. People forget quickly. After a few days, no one will even recognize you." Olivia looked at his message and laughed until tears rolled down her face. With those tears, the very last trace of affection she had for him finally disappeared. Early the next morning, when Brian got home, he realized the passcode on the smart lock had been changed. He immediately called Olivia, his voice sharp with anger. "Olivia, what kind of stunt are you pulling now? Why did you change the door code? Do you even want me to marry you anymore?" But instead of Olivia, a man's chuckle came through the phone. "Who the hell are you, man? Since when do you get to marry my wife?" At that moment, Olivia was in the bridal dressing room. In the mirror, she stood in her wedding dress. Her parents were behind her, both with tears in their eyes. Her mother said softly, "Olivia, in our eyes, you're the most beautiful bride." Her father added, "We've watched Ethan grow up. Knowing you're marrying him puts your mom and me at ease." Her mother turned away quietly and wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. The door opened, and Ethan walked in with a smile. "Mom, Dad, it's not that Olivia is marrying me. I'm the one marrying into the family," he joked. "We even bought a house right across the hall from you. Just 2 steps away. We'll probably be coming over for dinner all the time, so don't get tired of us." Everyone burst into laughter, and the tense atmosphere in the dressing room instantly lightened. Olivia met Ethan's warm gaze, and her heart skipped a beat. She and Ethan had been neighbors growing up. When they were 16, Ethan's family immigrated to Europe. Before leaving, he had made her a promise: "If we're both still single by 30, I'll come back and marry you." At the time, she thought he was joking. But on her 30th birthday, she received a call from across the ocean. By then, Brian had already canceled their wedding for the 98th time. With her heart completely numb, Olivia somehow found herself agreeing to Ethan's proposal. Seeing her lost in thought, Ethan laughed and handed her phone back. "Honey, you left your phone at the front desk." He glanced at the clock on the wall, then suddenly swept her up into his arms. "It's the auspicious hour. Time for us to go." Olivia buried her flushed face in his chest, embarrassed. Laughter erupted all around them. After getting into the wedding car and watching the scenery pass by outside the window, Olivia slowly calmed down. Just then, the real estate agent suddenly called. "Ms. Olivia, did you rent out your house to someone? I just brought a client to see it, and we ran into a wedding party coming out of the place. Also, someone changed the front door lock. You might want to come back and check." After hanging up, Olivia contacted the property management office. They told her the person who changed the lock was the registered resident, Brian. She was about to call him when the wedding car suddenly stopped. The driver turned around. "There's another wedding convoy ahead of us. The bride from the other side wants to exchange bouquets with you." Olivia glanced at the gold bouquet in her hands and shook her head. "Tell them we're not exchanging." But the other party refused to leave, blocking the road with their wedding cars. Through the car window, Olivia could feel the other bride staring intensely at the golden bouquet in her hands. The bride rolled down her window halfway and shouted, "Exchanging bouquets is a tradition. Swap bouquets and double the happiness." Olivia felt that voice sounded strangely familiar. Their car had been stopped for too long, and the vehicles behind them began honking impatiently. "Olivia, stay in the car. I'll go talk to them," Ethan said, pushing the door open. No one knew what he said through the window, but the groom from the other wedding party soon stepped out of his car as well. The moment Olivia saw his face, she froze. It was Brian. He walked past Ethan, his face dark, and headed straight toward her. "Isn't it just exchanging bouquets? It's such a joyful occasion, why refuse? My wife wants it, so just hand it over. Worst case, name your price and I'll pay." He stopped mid-sentence. His entire body froze. His eyes locked onto her face, disbelief filling them. Olivia? Olivia's gaze passed him and landed on the bride who had just stepped out of the car. As expected, it was Vanessa. She hadn't expected them to be even more shameless than she thought. They had actually used her house as the starting point for their wedding procession. Brian hurried forward and yanked open her car door. After confirming it was really her, his face turned pale. Olivia? It's really you? Why are you here? The smile faded from Olivia's face. If you can be here, why can't I? He caught the sarcasm in her tone. His eyes darted away nervously, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. Olivia, listen to me. Vanessa said she and her husband never had a wedding, so she wanted to experience one. That's why I agreed to hold this ceremony with her. But it's all fake, we're just acting. There's nothing between Vanessa and me. Don't get jealous and start making a scene because of this. Olivia shook her head. Don't worry. I'm not jealous, and I'm not making a scene. Brian visibly relaxed. That's good. Before he could finish speaking, Ethan stepped forward and positioned himself between them, blocking Brian's view of Olivia. Olivia is my wife. Why would she get jealous over someone who doesn't matter? He said calmly. Mr. Brian, your bride is standing behind you. Vanessa walked over and hooked her arm through Brian's. Brian, did you get the bouquet yet? She asked sweetly. Vanessa, go back to the car first. I need to talk to Olivia, Brian said impatiently, shaking her off. Then he turned back to Olivia. Olivia, who exactly is this guy? Don't tell me you really betrayed me and plan to marry someone else? Suddenly, realization dawned on his face. I get it. You're angry because I canceled the wedding, so you found him to act with you and make me jealous, right? He was the one who answered your phone earlier, wasn't he? I have to admit, you actually got me this morning. But fine, I won't hold it against you. Since you want to get married so badly, I'll marry you today. Vanessa also wants to experience a wedding, so the three of us can get married together. He reached out to pull her out of the car. What are you sitting there for? Get into my wedding car. Just as his hand was about to touch Olivia, Ethan stepped forward, grabbed Brian by the shoulder, and shoved him aside. Olivia stepped out of the car and stood beside Ethan. Brian, I'm not acting. Today really is my wedding. But I'm not marrying you. He is my groom. Brian staggered as if struck. That's impossible. Olivia, stop joking. We've been together for 6 years, you can't just throw that away. I already told you my marriage with Vanessa is fake, and I've even agreed to marry you today. Why are you still throwing a tantrum? Olivia met his furious stare, her voice calm. Every word I've said is serious. Ethan wrapped an arm around her waist, openly declaring his claim. Did you hear what my wife just said? I'm her groom. You two newlyweds are something else, the bride demanding someone else's bouquet and the groom wanting to marry 2 women? We don't have time to play along with this nonsense. Honey, let's go. He helped Olivia back into the car. Brian rushed forward in panic, but Ethan's bodyguards blocked him outside the vehicle. His eyes turned bloodshot as he struggled wildly. Olivia, if you leave with him today, we're really finished. I already said I'd marry you, get out of the car right now. Ethan looked nervously at Olivia, afraid she might change her mind. Olivia squeezed his hand and gave him a firm smile. Then she told the driver, drive. Don't let us miss the ceremony. The wedding car pulled away. Brian stared at it as it disappeared down the road. Confusion, anger, and a hint of regret flickered across his face. Vanessa, who had been silent until now, walked up to him. Brian, Chloe is still waiting for us at the hotel. Let's hurry up and go. I just can't believe Olivia had another man behind your back, and got married so quickly. But don't worry. Chloe and I will always stay by your side. Bullshit. It was the first time Brian had ever cursed in front of Vanessa. Olivia would never betray me. She said she would marry me. He shoved Vanessa aside and strode toward the wedding car. Pulling the driver out, he jumped into the seat himself. He slammed on the gas and sped off, chasing Olivia's wedding convoy. At the hotel entrance, a large welcome poster featuring Olivia and Ethan stood in the most prominent spot. Brian's legs suddenly felt rooted to the ground. The blood in his veins seemed to freeze. He sucked in a sharp breath, then charged forward and started tearing at the poster, shouting at the top of his lungs, "No. This can't be real. You're mine, you can only marry me. Olivia, you can't do this to me. You have to be lying. Yes, that's it, you must be lying." His crazed outburst frightened the guests coming and going. Just as security was about to step in and remove him, 2 figures walked over. It was Olivia's parents. Brian, today is my daughter's wedding day, Olivia's father said coldly, his fists clenched at his sides. If you keep making a scene and ruin her wedding, don't blame me for not showing you any mercy. Olivia's mother stepped forward and shoved him. "Brian, what exactly do you want?" she shouted. "You ruined her wedding so many times before. Now that Olivia finally has a chance to be happy, just stay away from her." Their appearance seemed to give Brian hope. He became so agitated he started gesturing wildly. "Mom, Dad, Olivia asked you to help her put on this act and trick me, didn't she? I know calling off the wedding before was my fault. She has every right to be angry. I know I was wrong, and I already agreed to marry Olivia today." He pointed at the clothes he was wearing. "Look, I'm already dressed for the wedding. Just take me to see Olivia." Olivia's father looked at him as if he had just heard the biggest joke in the world. "Brian, get a grip. Yes, my daughter is getting married today, but she's not marrying you. You are nowhere near good enough for her. Who else would marry her besides me?" Brian's voice rose sharply. "She already lost a baby for me, so who else would?" The sharp crack of a slap cut him off. Olivia's mother's raised hand was still trembling. Her eyes were red with fury. "Brian, haven't you hurt Olivia enough all these years? Even on the happiest day of her life, you still want to ruin everything? In these 6 years, you had so many chances to marry her, and every single time you were the one who abandoned her. How dare you even bring up that baby?" Her voice was filled with heartbreak and anger. "You knew perfectly well that getting pregnant before marriage would damage her reputation, but you still lied to her, got her pregnant, and kept dragging your feet instead of marrying her. And in the end, because of Vanessa and her daughter, she lost the baby. You keep saying you only took care of them because of a promise to a friend, but put your hand on your heart and ask yourself, do you really have a clear conscience? How many weddings did you cancel because of them? Yesterday, you even publicly called them your wife and daughter. Did you see the video of Olivia being bullied at the restaurant? Do you know how badly people online insulted her? Brian, have you ever cared about how Olivia felt? Did you ever truly love her?" As she spoke, she finally broke down in tears. Olivia's father pulled his wife into his arms and gently wiped away her tears. The barrage of questions drained all the color from Brian's face. I didn't." He opened his mouth, wanting to explain, but suddenly realized that every excuse sounded ridiculous. Because every word she had said was true. All the pain Olivia had suffered over the years, all her tears, all her pleading, it all came flooding back into his mind. Seeing Brian stand there speechless, Olivia's father shook his head. "Brian, there is already someone by Olivia's side now, someone who loves her with his whole heart. Please don't disturb her happiness. If you want to stay and have a drink in celebration, we won't throw you out. But if you keep making trouble, then don't blame us for what happens next." With that, he turned and walked away, supporting his wife as he led her off. Brian stood there motionless, head lowered, his eyes fixed on the shredded poster at his feet. After a long silence, he removed the boutonniere from his chest and started walking toward the hotel entrance. He still wasn't ready to give up. What if Olivia changed her mind when she saw him? What if she agreed to marry him after all? He kept comforting himself with these thoughts, trying to come up with a reason to attend her wedding. "Hello, sir. Are you a friend of the groom or the bride?" the person at the gift registry desk asked. Brian froze for a second. Then he pulled a bank card from his pocket and handed it over. Gift money, $880,000. This was the bride price he had originally promised Olivia. The registrar paused, pen in hand, and looked up at him. "Sir, are you sure you mean $880,000? "That's right. The password is her birthday. I'm her friend, Brian." After saying that, he ignored the strange look the registrar gave him and hurried toward the banquet hall. Nearby guests began whispering among themselves. 880,000? This guy must have been pretty important to Olivia. Is he here to stop the wedding? Don't say crazy things. Who would dare try to steal a bride from Ethan's family? Exactly. I heard Ethan gave $20 million as the bride price. Olivia wouldn't even glance at this amount. Brian stopped in his tracks. Even the posture of his back seemed to collapse. He had thought what he had just done might move Olivia. After all, that 880,000 had been something he had reluctantly agreed to give in the first place. Now, it only made him look ridiculous. A trace of loneliness flashed through his eyes. He picked up a glass of champagne from a nearby table and drained it in one gulp. As the music began, the wedding officially started. Brian hid among the crowd, staring from a distance at Olivia standing on the stage. This wedding was supposed to be his. The person standing beside her should have been him. He had destroyed it all with his own hands. He kept drinking, one glass after another, as if the alcohol could somehow calm the chaos raging inside him. Then the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride." That was the moment Brian finally broke. His legs gave out. He toppled backward, knocking over the champagne tower beside him and crashing to the floor. The loud noise caused an immediate stir. Something happened. Someone passed out. He looks drunk, call an ambulance. Whose guest is he? All kinds of voices buzzed around him. But Brian's eyes were fixed only on Olivia standing on the stage. He stared into her eyes, searching for even the slightest trace of concern, panic, or fear. But her gaze was calm. She looked at him the way she might look at a stranger. Then she looked away, took Ethan's hand, and turned to leave. Brian parted his lips, trying to stop her. Olivia, please, please don't leave me. I regret it. When he opened his eyes again, he was lying in a hospital bed. He stared blankly at the stark white ceiling, the last moments before he lost consciousness still lingering in his mind. Brian, you're awake, a nurse said as she walked over. Your wife went downstairs to pay the bill. She'll be back in a minute. My wife? Brian struggled to sit up, his eyes suddenly lighting up. Olivia, it has to be her. I knew she wouldn't just leave me like this. His heart pounded wildly, and a hopeful smile crept onto his face. Footsteps sounded outside, followed by the door opening. The nurse pointed toward the entrance. Your wife is back. Brian looked toward the door expectantly. But the moment he saw who had come in, disappointment washed over his face. Brian. Daddy. Vanessa walked in holding Chloe's hand. Brian said nothing. The nurse sensed the tension in the room and quietly stepped out, giving them space. Vanessa sat down beside the bed. Brian, why did you drink so much? When the hospital called me, I was terrified. If something happened to you, what would Chloe and I do? Chloe grabbed Brian's hand and said sweetly, Daddy, our school is having a parent-child sports day next week. Will you come with me? Normally, Brian would have agreed without hesitation. But this time, Olivia's questions suddenly echoed in his mind. Asterisk, why does Vanessa's daughter call you Dad? Brian, what exactly is your relationship with them? Asterisk, why did you take family photos with Vanessa and Chloe? Asterisk, just because Chloe wanted to celebrate her birthday early, you canceled our wedding without even thinking? Asterisk, only now did he realize how far he had crossed the line without even noticing. He had been the one pushing Olivia further and further away. The parent-child event, your mom can go with you, Brian said. It was the first time he had ever refused them. And I'm not your dad. From now on, call me uncle. Chloe looked helplessly at Vanessa. The smile on Vanessa's face froze. Brian, didn't we agree that you would be Chloe's father? Why are you saying this all of a sudden? Did Olivia start throwing another tantrum? I told you already, you can't spoil women like her. Someone like Olivia, enough. Brian snapped. If it weren't for you two stirring things up, Olivia wouldn't have left me. She wouldn't have married someone else. You destroyed my love. I don't want to see either of you again. Get out. Chloe burst into tears, frightened by his sudden shouting. Vanessa's expression turned ugly. Brian, you were the one who offered to take care of us. You were the one enjoying the attention and flirting between us. And now you're pretending none of it happened? Olivia leaving you is your own fault. If I were her, I would have broken up with you long ago. Brian, you're too cowardly to admit what you've done. With that, she grabbed Chloe's hand and slammed the door behind them as they left. The hospital room fell silent. Vanessa's words kept echoing in Brian's mind. She was right. He deserved this. Everything that had happened to him was the result of his own choices. Now he finally understood. But it was too late. He opened Olivia's social media page. A single gray line appeared, he had been blocked. He tried calling her. Only the busy tone remained. He contacted their mutual friends. Every single one of them told him to let her go. After being discharged from the hospital, he wandered the streets in a daze. Without realizing it, he arrived at the house that had once been their marital home. The front door stood open. Inside, a newly married couple was discussing renovations with a designer. The woman pointed toward the children's room with a smile. Our baby will sleep here in the future. The crib can go here, and the walker over there. The man stood in the kitchen pretending to stir a pan. I'll be cooking here, and you and the baby can sit across the table waiting for dinner. Watching their sweet interaction, Brian suddenly remembered how he and Olivia had once stood in the same house, imagining their future life together as a family of 3. That simple, warm life was something he had always dreamed of. But later, he had destroyed it with his own hands. Only now did he truly understand how heartbroken Olivia must have been. Even the house that held all their memories, she had sold it. Brian knocked on the door and went inside, hoping to buy it back. But the couple refused. You're Brian, right? The husband said. Miss Olivia sold us this house below market price. Her only condition was that we never sell it to you. We don't know what happened between you two, but we hope you can move on. Brian sat down on the steps outside, completely lost. Among the boxes by the door, he found a dusty scroll. It was the list of 100 things couples should do together that he and Olivia had promised to complete. But they had only finished half of it. After Vanessa appeared, his time and energy had been split between two worlds. He had long forgotten about the promise. From that day on, Brian started completing the list alone. Every time he finished one task, he took a photo and mailed it to Olivia's parents. He believed that maybe, just maybe, she would forgive him. Maybe he could win her back. Until the day Ethan came to see him. At a cafe, Ethan placed a stack of photos and a bank card on the table. Olivia asked me to return these to you. Brian's face turned pale, his lips trembling. Olivia, is she doing well? Olivia is doing great, Ethan replied calmly. She asked me to pass along a message. She doesn't hate you. People should move forward instead of clinging to the past with regret. She's very happy with her life now, and she hopes you can let go as well. Ethan took a sip of his coffee before adding, oh, and one more thing. The last time you tried on the wedding suit, it was only because your build is similar to mine. My flight was delayed, so you had to try it on for me. He set his cup down and looked directly at Brian. You had already lost her long before that. Brian sat frozen in his seat, tears filling his eyes. All the things he had been doing lately were nothing more than self-comfort. In Olivia's world, there was no longer any place for him. Brian looked at Ethan, his voice thick with emotion. Olivia is a wonderful woman, don't let her down. Ethan stood up. Before leaving, he handed Brian one more document. This is for you. Brian didn't come back to his senses until the cafe was closing. He stared at the document in his hands, his body trembling. 5 years earlier, Vanessa's husband had accompanied Brian overseas for a business deal. On the way there, they were kidnapped. Vanessa's husband died during the incident. Because of that, Brian had felt deep guilt and spent years taking care of Vanessa and Chloe. But the documents revealed the truth. The kidnappers had been arranged by Vanessa's husband himself. The plan was to kidnap Brian and demand ransom. But during the ransom dispute, the kidnappers turned on him and killed him instead. Vanessa had been part of the plan from the beginning. Afterward, she hid the truth and enjoyed Brian's care and protection. Brian covered his face and broke down crying. I abandoned Olivia for my enemies. I hurt her so many times. This is my punishment. His sobs blended into the night. Later, Brian handed the evidence to the police and sent Vanessa to prison. Then he left that city. He knew there was no possibility left between him and Olivia. At this point in the story, I'm reminded of a sentence. Some people only realize what they've lost after it's gone. But what's even more tragic is that by the time they finally understand, the person they lost is no longer waiting for them. Brian canceled the wedding 99 times, and in return he gained a regret that could never be repaired. Olivia, with one brave decision to turn away, found the happiness that truly belonged to her. So if you're currently in a relationship where you're constantly compromising and constantly giving in, I want to tell you this, your feelings matter. Your boundaries matter. Your life matters. Don't wait until the 99th time to learn how to walk away. The first time you're hurt, you already deserve to be treated with love and respect. This is Marriage is Not the End. Marriage isn't the destination, happiness is. See you next time.